Hello, everyone. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner, Meet the Author, and I am your host, Cece Shatz, the Doyenne of relationship building. And those of you don't know me, what that means is I really help take you through some of the darkest times in your life, moving you through to living the life of your choice, your best life. And we do that by connecting you with wonderful guests. And everybody loves our Author's Corner, and I do too, because they are some great individuals that have really, homed in on their journeys and, tips and just their stories and such that we can really kind of relate to, and we can do that today on this particular book, and I cannot wait to share it with you. But before I do, let's do some homework. If you want to reach me, all you have to do is email goingsolonetwork@gmail.com, and I'm available. Just send a message to me about anything you'd like to talk about. We'll be able to maybe put it on the air or answer your questions. The other thing is we have all of our information right there on Going Solo Media. It's like right up above here. See, goingsolomedia.com. All of our wonderful information is there. We connect with you live on Facebook and on YouTube, and I hope you're going to enjoy the show as much as I know I am, and I can't wait. Let's get it going. So we have with us today a wonderful guest. Let's bring him forward. We have his book is called Unbounded Journey to Your Within, and the author is Aaron McCormick. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Cece. Thank you for having me.
It is great having you. I thought your book was really, truly inspirational. And so I wanted very much to have you on. So I'm excited about this show here today. But tell your journey a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and why did you want to write such a book like this?
My journey. Well, it's ironic. The book is actually not about me specifically. It's about everyone's journey and kind of how do you make sense of it and really grow in your appreciation for your own power and such. So I kind of I don't actually like talking a lot about me, but in terms of brief background, I was raised by a single mom, South Side Chicago. Um, they divorced when I was probably 4. I've got 3 other siblings, and there were just a bunch of unique challenges, unique to me. And I think all of us have what we would call unique challenges because it's our life. And later on, we might look back on these various events and realize, that actually served me. So it's a bunch of events that everything from my religious upbringing to my corporate background, there are just a lot of things that displayed or showed to me over time what I was and kind of how I've shown up in this human journey, this human paradigm, if you will. And I get into some of this in the book about our individual essences, the thing that is the spark or the animation of us before the things that we've learned from our family, our culture, so to speak, our nationality, our sex, all these different ways that we take in information, we absorb, and we become the curated version of ourselves. But then there's that original thing that we've always were before we kind of morphed. So the book is really about us doing that journey. So mine was just my journey is comprised of a bunch of me being a bridge, if you will. Physically, I'm ambidextrous. I'm both left-handed, right-handed, but in a very oddball way. I'm very athletic and muscularly strong, masculine. I used to wear a beard. I can go beard or not, but I'm also extremely sensitive in terms of empathy. So I can cry in a movie easier than some females, for example. So I've just learned over time and through several experiences and situations that the pattern of me is a bit of a bridge. Things that were previously disparate, whether it be male and female, whether it be business and empathy, just a lot of different topics. I'm a bit of a bridge, left hand, right hand, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I so enjoy that, because I agree with what you say. It's like the experiences that we have in our lives, they can kind of mold who we are and how we approach, life in general as we continue to grow
Oh
and that
yeah.
sort of thing. But what do we take from it, right? Is
Right.
I love that I just love that way of thinking, is because rather than looking at the situation as being a negative, we look at it in a positive. What can we take from it? What can we, how
Right.
can we shift from this? What do we not want to do again, right? And so what
Yeah.
can we do better? And
Right.
so I love the idea of your book, because I thought that that would really spark individuals that are going through difficulties, and then also, you know, really embrace their lives and embrace their world today, because sometimes it's just that shift that goes on within our minds, right?
Right.
To
Right.
get to the next plateau.
Totally. And to what you were talking about, we tend to not just look at things in terms of right and wrong, good and bad. We tend to peer out of our eyeballs, out of our lens, at other things as a barometer of what we are supposed to be or supposed to experience or supposed to accomplish. And of course, that is a recipe for consistent, I guess, torment inside. Because even when you get the things, this is kind of what prompted me to write the book. Even when you have the things that externally are supposed to fulfill you, if you are either severely deviated from that original spark, the essence inside of you, or that is you in terms of why you're here and what you want to do and learn and be and embody, then you're going to experience a great deal of internal conflict. So all of us have it to greater and lesser degrees. I call these binders. I refer to them in the book as binders, meaning they bind your real movement, your real animation and activity, action, journey from what it should be, because you're measuring up. You've become what is expected or what you've learned to be a measure of success, validation, admiration, that sort of thing. And so what often happens is it's not just those that are struggling. Like you mentioned, many people are struggling. We're all struggling collectively. It's a new world we're in. That's a whole different topic. But individually struggling. And the reason we struggle, what I've learned is that the further we are detoured from our actual internal truth, the more we will struggle internally. And that has nothing to do with your financial success, or should I say financial success, nothing to do with your commercial admiration or success, your relationship success. All these things are external, and they're externally learned, right? Since we were a child, we learn if I'm a pretty, attractive princess, I get the handsome prince, or if I'm this kind of guy, I get the, woman, all these things that we've externalized as our reward system. And we end up on this rat wheel chasing the fulfillment that only comes from actually listening to and heeding the constant prod that's been going on in various areas of life of what is our true north. So that's really I think it's actually our goal, is to be physical humans, have a mind that takes in information, yet still be led by the spirit or the heart, because that's the thing that's actually bigger than the mind, because it existed before the mind. An example of that, some people go, well, how's that possible? Well, think about it, Cece. Like when we were born, when we become toddlers, for example, there's a personality that we all have and that we observe in our children that belies what we've told them to do and be. It's just their spirit. We've heard people say so-and-so has a mean spirit or a kind spirit. That's the essence. That's the thing that is actually well aware before the mind has to learn its multiplication tables and how to read and how to be a good boy and good girl. Those are all things that we learn, but the other part of us was always there. So the journey is really about more fully embodying that authentic essence, the truth that we all are, well before all the stuff that we've learned. And I go through very practical examples of how we do that, from our youth to career to relationships and every aspect of life.
Yeah, this is a very important book. I tell you this, and that was why I was so excited about having you on, because I do feel like so often in our lives we have that knowing, right? That
Yes.
we'll do something and we know we shouldn't have done it, but we'll do it anyhow, even though it might be logical to do it. But in our heart, we're saying something within our soul is saying, don't do it.
Totally. And we suppress that, right? We suppress that other thing, the unspoken, sometimes illogical, doesn't make a lot of sense to do it, but something says do it. I quote Steve Jobs, not in the book, but later I stumbled across his 2005 commencement speech to Stanford, right? Mm-hmm. So here he is speaking to what I refer to as one of the more formed institutions, meaning it's erected in terms of, if you go to Stanford, you're probably going to do okay, right? That's the mindset. The idea is it's a golden ticket. So it's very formed by our society. Here he is speaking to these students and faculty and parents, and he's basically trying to shake them out of their mind. And it's amazing because he spends his 15 minutes giving examples of why what you think is the case isn't really the case. He's basically saying your intuition runs the show, and those that have the power to surrender to it and follow it, they're the ones that actually achieve their higher purpose, their greater purpose. If you follow the mind, you may get whatever accolades you think you're after, but you will never hit your actual optimum because you are the lower mind. You're following that lower learned thing as opposed to the more powerful thing. And the challenge is, in following that spirit or that essence, intuition that Steve talks about, that I talk about, comes a lot of challenges because we're in a very physical cause and effect society. And we've been so hammered, these points have been hammered into us that no. If you do this, you won't get that. Or if you don't do this, and relationships, cause and effect, all these things that we're taught how to be, that it's very scary to follow that thing that flies in the face of the learned stuff. But the result of actually doing that is your highest good, both for yourself and for others. It really results in you fulfilling your purpose for being.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that we do have a higher purpose, and we, a friend of mine always said to me one time, so just get out of your own way. You just need to get out of your own way. And
We are our biggest bullies, without question. The number one bully of everyone on the planet. This goes into every topic. This goes into Me Too movement, females and their discrimination against them, Black people, immigrants, everyone, gay, lesbian, LGBT. Our biggest bully over everything else out there is ourselves. And I hope when people read this, and some have already been sharing a lot of feedback and reviews, that it was like looking in the mirror and they didn't quite realize that, yeah, there are things that are truisms or things that do happen, but by and large, they absolutely control all their experiences, even the bad ones. And they actually are by their design and give them a measure of growth and a richer journey, actually, as a matter of fact. So the things that we think are so terrible, there really is no such thing. There's only experiences. That's what life has also shown to me and so many others as we go about this journey, right?
Yeah, you're so right. It is true that, whatever experience that we have, we can take something away from that. And so that, again, is you want to tap into your into your soul, into where you really feel that where you should be. And it's like and we go back to the paper all the time. We go back to where we think we should be on paper, or we think we should be doing on that. And so I like it that a lot of our listeners I know out there that are in the latter part of their life, they're creating a shift now for themselves, and they're listening more to what it is they truly want in their life. What they truly feel like they need to be doing versus doing what they feel like they have to do in order to make a paycheck or a connection or whatever. So they're starting to get more into the arts. A lot of them are turning towards the arts. They're turning towards helping other people, just a lot of different things that they might not have done in their earlier years. So,
I talk about that in the book a little bit. I refer to the two proverbial bookends of life. We get it. We are much more attuned to the higher self, and that when we're toddlers, we're not trying to do the things that we're taught. We don't really know much. All right, we're just seeking joy. We seek joy, and we're seeking expansion. We want to learn more. What can I experience and learn? And then when we get older, same thing. We're less controlled by expectations, pop culture ideals, fear of what will and won't happen if I don't conform. You start to just live your own truth at those bookends of life. It's that middle portion we're all like lost at sea, but we don't have to be. We don't have to be going after things that we were taught and told that would give us a certain result and really may not. The answer is all within. We don't have to do that. So the reason I wrote the book is to say, look, there's two ways to awaken and embody and become closer, at least, to your highest self, your higher self. One is through the mind and one is through the heart, right? The mind is the way that 95, 100, or 99% of people end up going, meaning they don't do what, say, Steve Jobs did or others, these amazing stories where people defy all odds and fly in the face of everything to follow their truth. That's why those stories are so inspirational. For some reason, those ones are wired, programmed to do that. And it's not better. It's a chosen journey as we incarnate. Because I do believe between synchronicity, between astrology, and the things we've all experienced, that we are energy embodying a human form. So we're more than this immediate journey. So if we've chosen our journey, so to speak, and we're either going to awaken and embody our higher self through deliberate action, which is the mind, and that's what most people end up doing, right, or we'll have this interesting plan for ourselves to just fly in the face of everything naturally and embody it through the heart. Well, since most people are wired through the mind, that's their chosen experience here, the book is written in a way to allow you to systematically go through processes or experiences that you've had throughout your life and relive them through a different lens and catch the lessons that have been beating you on the head, but you never looked at them in a certain way, and then realize, oh man, it's all served me. So when you start getting out of your way of the fear that something can do you wrong, everything starts to improve, right? Relationships, career, everything does, because you stop having this belief or concern that something can do you wrong. When you realize everything has served you, nothing really does you wrong. So therefore, your energy, your guard is down. And since you don't expect it, you don't draw it. And because you are this clean slate, you're more refreshing to others. And that brings a different friendship, romantic relationships. All these things will feed off of each other. But it comes back to realizing the magnificence of your own journey. And no matter what your life has been like, it is magnificent because it is by your design. And I hope that when you people go through the book, that they realize this is not about somebody else's, wow, look at some celebrity's journey, or look at Steve Jobs, or look at Aaron McCormick or anybody else. It's meant to be a mirror back at yourself so that you no longer just tout mantras, if you will. Like there's a lot of motivational mantras, but that's all in the mind. How do you get the heart or spirit to know it to be so? How do you do that? How do you tie these two? Well, it has to be through your own experience and your own learning that way, as opposed to someone else telling you manifestation works this way. Hey, if you believe it, it's good. That doesn't work. So it's really trying to tie these two, the mind and heart, together.
Okay. Now, is there some tips to do that? I mean, do you have some tips that you can share with us to make that happen?
Well, pick a topic. I mean, the book is sectioned into, your personal power and what is the evidence of your own personal power. I'll give one example of that one.
Okay, let's hold on that. Let's hold that thought. And when we come back, we'll talk about that. Let's do our quick commercial, and we'll get we'll definitely do that. Everyone, I want to make sure that we share with you how to contact Aaron. Just go to contact, just do contact at AaronMcCormick.com, and that's AaronMcCormick, and then his website is AaronMcCormick.com. You can find this book on Amazon. You probably have it listed in other places too. It's fantastic. I mean, it's definitely a great book. And so let's, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So you guys are going to take a quick break. You can listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner. Meet the author. We have Aaron McCormick here. We're talking about his wonderful book, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We are on the Author's Corner, Meet the Author, and we have a wonderful guest here with us today. We are talking about his terrific book, which I think is going to really change people's lives because we're looking at things a lot differently here. The book is Unbounded: Journey to Your Within. It's with author Aaron McCormick. Thank you, Aaron, for staying with us here on the show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The first part of the show was very enriched, I think, because it brought us to a point where a lot of our journeys we're reacting to life as it is, right? We're dealing with it as in our mindset versus in our heart and in our soul as to what it is that we need to do. And like you had mentioned, that in order to be able to really go to your highest power in life, you have to be in tune with your inner being, right? Your soul, and to be able to reach your full potential in life. And
Right.
so if anybody missed the first part of the show, please go back and listen to it, because I think it was very moving. I felt myself. And again, the book, you can reach it. You can find it on his website. I want to make sure I share that again. AaronMcCormick.com. That's AaronMcCormick.com. And then you can get it on Amazon. And I'm sure, is it listed like on some of the other places like Barnes and Noble and things like that?
Yes, it is.
Do you have it in audio? Do you have the book in audio?
Not yet. Lots of requests. That needs to be coming.
Okay. All right. Well, that'd be great. When you get that in audio, definitely let us know. But I get the book because I think it's definitely a good read and might definitely shift your life. You know, if you feel like you're kind of stuck in places. We're going to talk a little bit about, we started to kind of go into it about your personal power. And you had mentioned about if people are kind of feeling like they're stuck or whatever, and they're not moving forward in their lives, what would you say with regards to that?
Well, again, personal power is something that we take away from ourselves. We talked about this early on. I talked about how we are our own biggest bullies. So first we need to get to a belief, a true knowing that nothing has really caused us anything, that we are ultimately in control. And a simple example to prove that, and there's many, but here's just one. We all know, we either know personally or we've heard stories of people that were born into huge affluence, a nice nuclear family, mother and dad are there, they lots of affection, encouragement, great schooling, everything given to them kind of the way you would want it to be. Nothing's perfect, but a really good scenario, right? We've heard these stories. And then the person grows up to be depressed, suicidal, delinquent, criminal. And we've also heard of stories where someone is born into abuse, alcoholism, drug, verbal abuse, mental abuse, just all these, everything you can think of. Constant berating, you're not going to be nothing, and just terribleness. And they become some of the most empathic examples, leaders, successful in business and ministry and motivation and non-for-profits, all kinds of stuff. And you would say that you can't get one from the other, right? If we think that we're bound, so to speak, by the physical circumstances, by our genetics, by our parents, by our environment, our peers, our education or lack thereof, bound by all these different things, there are so many examples of people, their spirit belying and not even matching their own heredity. You know, you've got siblings where one is completely different than all the rest, or they're all completely different, right? So the point is, you are not the result of anything physical. Your journey was there before your race was an issue, your sex was an issue, your sexual orientation was an issue, your education, all these different things that we would put on ourselves as a potential barrier or limitation. No, that's actually what you have allowed to be such because you've been shown a physical cause and effect that implicates such a limitation. And when you accept that, then that's obviously what it becomes. So like in my case, we didn't talk about my background in detail, but again, single mom, no degree. And yet at 23, 22, I was making $500,000 a year in corporate technology sales to I'm selling multi-million-dollar software to the captains of industry, the C-suite. They had kids my age. And this was not because I was special per se. I have gifts and talents like we all do. But the main thing that made that possible is the fact that I was closer to my center, my actual essence, meaning the jobs that I was doing that I chose to do against all odds, that I said, I'm going to do that, was so close to what I was actually like as a child, as a toddler, as an adolescent. It really was my essence. Empathy, helping others, very analytical, always a deep thinker. So I need to solve bigger problems. I had a lot of pressure in terms of my career from outside influences on the south side of Chicago to do something completely different than technology. Like, there's no evidence of young Black folks with no degree in technology. That's like not really possible, right? Mm-hmm. That's not what I was thinking. I was just following my essence. I wasn't trying to make a bunch of money. I was just trying to enjoy what I did. And the things that I was encouraged to do didn't excite me. They were a little too transactional, too simple. I wanted something intellectually more challenging. And then in terms of what to, I thought I wanted to be a computer programmer. Can you imagine me as a programmer? I'm so interpersonal. I like to talk, didn't deal with people. I'd been bored, but I took that in high school because that was the in thing at the time. And I knew I could make good money doing it. But I was like, I can't look at a computer all day. I don't care how well I can create. I'm left-handed. I've got some creativity, but that was the answer. So I went against all, conventional wisdom. And that's one of the things that has fueled me, is that I followed my truth. And when you do what's really natural for you, you really tend to be good at it, right? That's kind of a thing that we all know, but we forget. And so I was, typically better than people 15 years my senior, degrees, the more dominant race in the industry. I mean, when you're selling technology to the senior executive suite, almost every other race other than white, and white male to be specific, is kind of an outsider in the selling side of it. Because on the technical side, you have Asian developers, you have Indian developers, you have people, it's more diverse that way. But when it comes to transacting business, gaining the trust, the respect of the other side, humans are notorious for being afraid of what they don't understand. And humans love to relate to each other. So, and who are the captains of industry? Usually white males. So some of the white women that were colleagues of mine had challenges, and they knew and they expressed them. Some of them were super badasses too. They just crushed it, just as I did, because they were just living their truth. There was a lot of transparency, there was empathy, and they were just good at what they did. So the limitations are what we make of them, because again, the stories we've all seen prove that, and they shouldn't be considered as special stories. They should be considered as real examples that we are something before what we think we are, or what we think could be limiting to us, or what we think is going to guarantee us something or another. That's all in the physical plane. We got to tap into that, to what we were like. So I go into examples in the book too about how do you kind of decrypt or decode your true essence. You could even use family members to do this. I go through there's a whole section on learning and understanding the real you a bit better in terms of real circumstances, in terms of your job selection, your associates, your relationships. Who are you? What are you? And especially, what were you before you became what you think you are right now? So what's the real you like? And then you apply that across every aspect of your life, and you begin to realize, I've been quite unkind to myself. I thought I've been being good to myself by doing the things that I'm supposed to do, but now I'm realizing that doesn't sit right with me. I've suppressed that. I really love doing this, but I've told myself you can't do that because you have no degree. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a degree, or you don't have the connections or the credentials or all these different things. But the journey, Cece, is only about joy and fulfillment. Right. We've been taught to believe that the only way to that is money. And then we've been taught the specific instruction of how to get that money. And if you don't do it that way, the assumption is you can't get it. And therefore, you'll never get to be what it is that you believe that you want to be, but it's really what you've been taught to be. So it's like reverse engineering, right? So that's one topic, which is how do you know that you are really not limited by all the things that you think limit you? That's personal power.
Mm-hmm.
Just look around a little bit. So that's one way to consider it. And then there's other topics too, right? There's relationships, obviously, and there's career specifically.
Yeah, I think your book is an important book. I really, truly do believe that. And it's very, very inspiring for sure. And it's funny when you were talking, my mother's words kept coming back to me. And she always used to tell me, well, you're where you're at because that's where you want to be. And it's truly,
Absolutely.
it's really up to us to be able to, dig deep and figure out what it is that does motivate us, does make it click for us,
But it's interesting when people say that, when you're in the thick of something challenging, we all say, no, I don't. I do not like this. This is painful. How dare you say I want to be here? Mm-hmm. So now the question becomes, how do you really come to know and understand that that's actually true? You do want to be there, not the conscious you, not the, or I shouldn't say conscious, not the physical you, the formed you. So the formed you is the curated version, and the curated version doesn't want the bad thing you're going through. But ironically, the most growth and expansion and power emanates from the struggles, just like when you're lifting weights, just like diamonds and pressure. We've all heard these analogies, but that's actually when you are becoming closer, you're getting closer to the real you, because you, you realize that the misalignment of the things that you've been searching for and pushing for so long isn't serving you. Mm-hmm. And that's part of where the pain is coming from. And then there's a process. I won't steal too much thunder from the book though, but the bottom line is there's a place where anxiety and stress is actually serving you in magnificent ways. I'll just give this little teaser. Mm-hmm. Every single Goalcast story, for example, that's the one on Facebook where it's like a 2 or 3 minute video of somebody we all might have heard of, or maybe not, and their wild story. We just see their current result. But there's almost always a wild story that all of us would say, there is no way in hell I'd want to be in that life, or I'd want to experience what they went through. But yet all of us would still, or most of us would still say, man, but I do want what they have now. I like the money they have now, or I like their ability to help others now, or I like the business they formed, the impact they've had. But when you look at what they've been through, you would almost always say, but I don't want that. So it's very clear that suffering or that anxiety plays a role in our potential. Now, it doesn't mean anytime you suffer that you're instantly going to have this glorious outcome. We all know that's not the case, but it presents huge opportunity for you to become the greatest thing that you could have ever become is on the other side of all these things. And every single story will tell you, I mean, that's typically the case. Those that didn't go through that are, quite frankly, not very inspiring. And those that inherit it or just have it, they're actually more depressed because they're like, what am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose? They're actually haunted by a lack of clarity as to their unique purpose. And yet they have the things that all of us thought we wanted, right? They may have the money or the physical beauty, all these different things, and yet they're haunted somehow by a lack of alignment and accomplishment of why they're really there. So your struggles present enormous opportunity. There's an entire chapter of the book or section in the book that talks about how anxiety serves you. And you can believe that it does, and you've seen that it does when you look at all these stories, some of the most inspirational stories you've ever heard, and the most inspirational, helpful people that have been valuable not only to themselves and their families, but to the world, are on the heels of a tremendous amount of struggle. Okay, so struggle plays a key part.
Oh yeah, you're so right. I tell you what, everyone, this would be a great gift to give someone. So if you guys want to reach out to Aaron, you can reach out to him by contact@aaronmccormick.com. And again, his website is aaronmccormick.com. And so you can find the book on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all those great places. So please, definitely, this is a wonderful book. It's Unbounded Journey to Your Within. And thank you so much for being on the show. It's gone by so quickly. Are there any last words you want to leave with our audience?
I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me. No, I think we covered it well. Obviously, if you ever want to have me back again or forward any questions, happy to answer. I consider myself a vessel. However I can help, I'm willing to help.
Yeah, well, it's a great book, and thank you so much for writing it and being with us today to share it. It's awesome to be able to have you. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, this time went by very quickly, and I bet you're as inspired as I am. And so make sure that you get this book, Unbounded Journey to Your Within, and wonderful gentleman, Aaron McCormick. So, his website, again, is aaronmccormick.com. You can contact him on contact@Aaron McCormick. So you guys, I know you love this show. I know you love the Author's Corner Meet the Author because we have some truly awesome people on it. But again, if there's something that you want to cover, if there's something you're going through that you want to maybe home in on, or if there's a book that you know out there that we need to bring it forward and share it with the audience, please let us know. You can reach me on goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. And of course, you can contact me right there on goingsolomedia.com. I want to thank you so much for joining us here. I want to thank you for re-listening to the shows that I know often many of you do, because your lives are shifting. There's certain places that you're at. And so some of these great books really can help move you through, understand yourself a lot better. And like Aaron said, really tap into who you are to be, what your true potential is. So that's what it's all about today. So make sure you do reach out to him and get his book, Unbounded Journey to Your Within. So love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.